Welcome back, everyone. I'm here as well with Professor Bopper today, talking about Fire Emblem Three Hopes. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you first for having me. My name's Professor Bopper. I do analysis videos about Fire Emblem, primarily, is what people are most likely going to know me for. I obviously do videos on a lot of other things, pretty much whatever strikes my fancy. I also stream. I try to at least have a minimal amount of variety. But again, thank you for having me on.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it. The first topic I wanted to kind of cover with Three Hopes, it's a different game since your average Fire Emblem because it is a Warriors game. Because it has that Warriors aspect, you get access to a lot of different tools. Like, it doesn't quite play out as your turn-wise base strategy Fire Emblem. What's your opinion on the Warriors game at all? Have you even played the previous one?
I've played Warriors. I've written not a super substantial, but I have done a review of it. I've never played any of the other Warriors games, but Fire Emblem Warriors I, for the most part, really like. The moment-to-moment gameplay, the pick-up-and-play, going through a level, I really enjoyed. The thing that kind of killed the first Fire Emblem Warriors for me was all the item management. Just sitting through lists and endless piles of new loot, kind of micromanage all of that to really maximize and optimize the characters. That was kind of frustrating. So moment-to-moment gameplay, I really loved. Everything that surrounded it, not as much.
I will agree with you on that. I felt that like there was a lot of just junk items that you would get at times to time, and I feel like Three Hopes did it a little better. Like, for example, the unlocking of specific skills. You know how some weapons you could unlock their skills in Fire Emblem Warriors, but then in Three Hopes, I only remember it on the Heroes Relics. I remember them, you randomly could get something with, say, like Relentless Assault or Reckless Assault, but it wouldn't be like you'd have to unlock it like they did it with the other weapons.
Because in Warriors 1, I think what specifically makes it frustrating is that it's super grind intensive, but you had to use the weapon, kill a bunch of enemies, and then over time it'd be like 5,000 kills on a weapon would unlock a skill, and it was kind of felt like, I don't know what I'm going to get. I just have to grind out.
There was an option for an augury or something like that you would like be able to see what the skill was. But even then, 90% of the weapons that I found, why am I going to kill 5,000 people to get this? If I can just get it from another weapon later on, that I'm just going to unlock it immediately. That's how I felt.
And for me, it was get the weapon with the highest stat, put that on, and ignore everything else. I'm not going to fuse weapons or even bother to sell them.
No gold, nothing. Just good weapon, just silver axes.
Yeah, just give me the brave sword. Just give me the brave sword. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna be okay. I get this menu out of my face, which is funny to say considering Fire Emblem is so menu heavy. But there's something in the first Warriors relentlessly defeating about a giant list of useless things.
Just feels like there's so much trash in that game that you have to deal with. And not just this, but I think from Warriors to Three Hopes, there was a big increase in the UI too, like a big change in the UI that helped a lot. Like being able to send people to certain positions. I just felt like it was cleaner overall. So whatever they didn't do previously, they really heard in this one. And I thought it was a lot better in that, like at least micromanaging stuff wasn't as bad. Although there was still a ton of weapons that I just sold a lot of stuff all the time. I was always pressing like plus, sell, plus, sell, plus, sell.
First of all, the first big thing for Three Hopes, for me that made it a lot better, was that you said piles of trash, and they really toned that down a lot. In a Warriors 1, it was all trash all the time, and now in Three Hopes, it's only Ignots. Yeah. That's for all the Ignots fans out there. But anyway, you get them, you sell them, but money's actually useful in Three Hopes. I found like resources for a good enough portion of the runtime was like I can buy forging stones, useful, unlike in Three Houses. Or I shouldn't say that, I should say they're not as plentiful, so they feel more precious. I do think like the transferring of trash to useful resources makes Three Hopes feel a little better.
I also think money played a huge difference in this game. Like money really was king. Shez had Despoil and like Balthus's fists of whatever the hell he had like the entire time, because I just wanted to farm as much money as possible. More so in the progressive playthroughs when I played on Maddening and I wanted to just get through the story really quick. Being able to have cash, just flat out lay that cash out and just buy my way to victory, king. It's just king. Money is really useful in that game.
But also leveling? The fact that money directly correlates to like your character's levels in a game with permadeath.
Like, why would
that money gets tight.
Yeah. Did you even let somebody die in your game? Like, did you even acknowledge the permadeath mechanic, or did you just reset? I think I died once and I was just like, I'll just reset.
See, I never reset. in Three Hopes, because usually what would happen is that, and people who know my channel are probably going to laugh at me because it's like, oh, I did the case against resetting and you should never reset. I found that when someone died in Three Hopes, usually you were washed, and it was just a matter of time before everyone gets killed and you get a game over. Because usually I only had deaths on like super time-sensitive maps, where like I really had to rush and couldn't just kill everything.
Yeah, there are a couple of maps like that.
I don't think Permadeath anyway is like, it feels like it's there almost as like a joke at the player's expense. Like, yeah, this is Fire Emblem. This is what you want.
Also, in a game where you can reclass everybody and everybody can be everything, and everybody's really similar, and the only thing that really differentiates their utility is like their personal skill and their access to certain occult skills, right? It would be like, if Ignatz dies, like, I'll just move on. It's okay. It's not that big a deal.
I think when I beat Golden Wildflower, Ignatz was like level 4 for me. So, like, you don't even need to like bring up everyone. And that was like on hard mode, and I'm not very good at the game. But he did die. If someone did die, and I was like, all right, I gotta get this guy off the bench, and I just dumped, I don't know, $70,000 onto Ignatz to like insta catch him up on levels.
That's true. Money was king like that. You could do that if you wanted to.
I enjoyed the class progression here, I think a little more than I did in Three Houses. A lot of people criticized Three Houses for everyone being not the same, but feeling samey, because there's very few restrictions on weapon types, and a lot of the stuff is still here in Three Hopes, except for that classes are weapon locked. That's what forced me to not play this game like Three Houses, because in Three Houses it'd be like, okay, I know I want this character at this point. I want Sylvain to be a holy knight or something. I don't know, the worst possible thing because I'm memeing around, but I still got to go get Deathblow, and I got to go get this and that, and maybe I'll mess around and send them through Dark Mage. And like on paper, it sounds fun, but I find in practice it's just like, okay, I'm grinding out useless classes to get the mastery skills, but nothing fundamentally changes while I'm on that path. Whereas in Three Hopes, it felt like if I sent a character down a path they were not proficient in, it would be a nightmare, because they'd revert back to like a terrible weapon rank with weapons that I haven't upgraded, and they can't bring along their good stuff that I've already invested in. Simply can't use it. If I send Shamir into Armor Knight, and now she's Axe Lock, that's terrible. It feels so bad, and I feel like that funnels away a little bit of the problem. The only criticism I really have of Three Hopes is that I think they take just a little too long to open up the second tier. And that, because that kind of got me into a point where I was just cycling characters through a bunch of classes that I didn't really care about, but I wanted to see those bars keep going up instead of being stuck at 3 stars.
You could still be gaining points through training in another class. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Without having to reclass that class. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool, because I don't have to devote time and energy playing a class if I just want to grab a second skill. You know, you can't really do in 3 Houses. I mean, you can. Actually, you can't, because you need the class experience from the actual class.
Yeah, and I mean, there's ways to make it quicker. You just auxiliary battle, broken weapons, knowledge gem, but that's just grind.
It's
just like effective grinding.
I don't think that Fire Emblem should ever be a grind festival. I think it takes away from the experience of it. Well, I mean, everybody here, and I'm assuming everybody watching, and everybody that's played Fire Emblem at some point, has definitely taken Amelia through all of like the Tower of Valny, just to have that really, really fast general that can kill everything, you know, in Sacred Stone. Is it good though? Like, when I was young, I had a lot of time. Nowadays, I don't think I would look twice.
So actually, you know what? It's funny you're bringing up time. So like, even us just doing this video was like a time commitment, and I'm thinking of going back when Three Hopes came out. I don't have the time to sit down for like a 200-hour MMO style grind fest unless I'm streaming it. And the same thing with Warriors, but I think Three Hopes streamlines it better. You know, I was out of town, and I took my Switch with me, and I was playing Three Hopes in a ton of bunches of 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, do a map here on the subway, or like fun to just like kind of pick up and play, or go back and do a previous map and try to get the S rank reward. It's easy to commit a lot of time to, and also rewarding to just do in quick bursts. I had not played the game in 2 months, and then picked it up again this week. It just fell right back into it, like I hadn't missed a beat.
Exactly what you were saying. Sometimes I would take it to work and just be like sitting there like on break and just quickly suspend in the middle. I feel like you can't really do that with the other Fire Emblems, because I feel like I lose track of what I was trying to accomplish, if that makes sense. Like I'll be sitting there, like I'll plan out my whole strategy. I'm going to use Warp here, gonna move up to this position, and I'm like, let me just suspend. When I come back, I'm like, okay, what was I doing? What was that? And then somebody dies. I'm like, gotta reset. Then or like, just gonna continue this Iron Man without him or whatever. But in Warriors, I really didn't have that problem because the objectives were pretty much laid out. And this comes back to like the map objectives being capture this point or kill this person or protect this person or prevent somebody from dying or try to reach this objective. And it's pretty well enunciated. It's like you have to capture all of these points before this guy arrives in this position. All right, I can do that. Like I know that I have to do that. It's everywhere. There are big, gigantic arrows pointing to it. The only maps I kind of didn't like were the Fog of War ones because that was just the crapshoot. I felt like sometimes I'd be searching half the map for like 3 hours to try to find someone. Walked over the guy 6 times and I just never got it.
Fog of War combined with the Switch is just kind of the bad draw distance that comes with being on the Switch. No.
Well, that's
not for me.
I didn't think about that. That's true. Like the rendering just being horrible too could, the machine can't handle it in this game. What got your gears grinding whenever you like went to the field and you took up as host and just slaughtered through enemies as a sword master? What was your vibe?
Swords are fun, but the first time you play as host, it's like, oh, this is cool. For me though, it's the fist. It's brawling.
So Balthus was king.
Fun. Balthus, I love Balthus like already, and then just playing as him was a ton of fun. Big, meaty attacks, brawling. The axes I really like. I find a big appeal in like giant battle axes and punching battalions of people. Just punching them.
Yeah.
It's aesthetically satisfying to me, and also just the moveset was fast, aggressive.
Even had little tornadoes.
And, I can sit here and be like, oh, well, I don't really like bows or magic. Don't really.
Bows sucked. I could not get into it. I just felt like it wasn't fast enough for me to not get completely demolished by whatever was attacking me.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any knockback power or stun power. So I just felt like I was.
Yeah, it's like I guess shout out to Koei Tecmo, because if I were making a Fire Emblem Warriors game and they were like, make it just like the main games, I'd be like, okay, so bows are gonna suck. And that's the way it's going to be because they're slow and they don't do much damage. Great, thanks.
Really
thanks, Ignatz. I do think that like at least things like healing magic and stuff had the nice niche when you are setting like your party.
Oh, like the support units?
Healers and stuff, but that was nice. But actively playing, I never liked magic really. But the one thing that did help all the weapon types, I think, is the combat arts. Probably my favorite part of the combat of this game is that the combat arts are so much fun.
They are.
I guess side tangent a little bit. I remember when Echoes came out and everyone was like, combat arts suck. And then like 2 months later, everybody was like, wait, hold on. And now it's like the best part of Fire Emblem.
It's really good.
Not even joking.
It's
like my favorite thing about modern Fire Emblem's combat arts.
Double Lion, so OP. Oh my god.
Yeah. Like Hilda just using Smash and Three Hopes, and it's like, it does so much damage, it breaks guards, and it's like an actual like kind of resource because you're using weapon durability, I think, in a more interesting way. Weapon durability is going to sometimes refill if I find droppables, so I don't want to waste those, and it's going to refill at the end of the map anyway.
So you might as well use it.
So I'm going to use these, yeah.
I feel like it was a good enabler, but without being too much too. Like I couldn't walk around spamming it because eventually it would run out. And I'd be like, well, now I just gotta hack and slash regular. Like, it wasn't. Yeah. I ran into this a lot with Bernadetta. Her Crest of Indec, once it procs.
Oh, feels like you're ready to head out.
And she has a really high speed, which means the combat arts are faster. One time, I think I got like 4 Deadeyes in a row without costing anything. But that's the only time I found bows fun, was when I was abusing the combat arts. So I guess that says more about combat arts than it does about bow combat.
Yeah. I played Golden Wildfire, so by the time I had access to Bernadetta, it was like, okay, I'm already like attached to whoever I'm already using.
Ignatz.
God, cannot get enough of that guy. Love me some Ignatz.
So good. So good.
Someone out there is gonna be mad because I don't know why I chose violence against Ignatz today.
But I gotta say, magic in this game is pretty busted. Like I think it's probably the best class in the game.
It gave me that vibe.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. If you can, there's like some crazy builds that people just spam. It's kind of like an Alacrity build. I don't know how they do it, but they spam all these high-level tier magics non-stop. Like every second is a new one. They do it with Shez too. And the only way I could clear the Gatekeeper Paralog was actually with Shez reclass to a Dark Mage, because there was no way I was hurting Dimitri on Maddening. Like I just couldn't. The guy was walling me off. Like He was beating the
Oh,
like there was nothing I can do to stop him. But the moment I reclassed to like a mage, I messed everybody up. And they were all on horses. And so like the dark mage has effective damage against horses and just murdered everybody. Did you feel like there was a good density of map objectives in the game? Did you feel
Yeah. I liked a lot of the map objectives. I think the thing that I liked a lot was that there was an increased emphasis on tactics compared to the first Warriors. Like, I really felt like I was going in, even in a pick up and play setting, I was going into that map and like every, minute or so, okay, I'm going to go change this person. I'm going to go move these adjutants around really quick to accomplish these side objectives. I love it when Fire Emblem games make you go fast. Yes. I love it when they just put when they just fill you with anxiety and you're like, I have got to get a move on.
Like Conquest.
Yes, Conquest does this very well. And I love that in Three Hopes, because I want to get all the side objectives and I want to get the S rank. Nothing is worse in this game than getting the, I'll call it the ass rank, where you get ASS, and it's like...
Sorry, man.
Feel sick
That was really good.
This guy actually gives me a lot of hope for whatever the Monastery version is going to be like for Engage. Everybody hates the Monastery for a lot of reasons. It's huge, and you run into invisible loading screens all the time. Why isn't the gate opening? Somebody open the gate, please. And like, there's nothing to do. They can't just be done in like a menu. I find by being in a more condensed space that feels much closer to the events that are happening, which is, out in the field. It makes you feel a lot more in that space. Everything just felt a lot more organic. Technically, do we need this here? Probably not. But aesthetically, it felt a lot better and a lot smoother, and really I enjoyed moving around it. This was so small. It wasn't like a technical nightmare.
I agree with you. I think the Monastery took up way too much time in the other game. Like, for example, why did I have to hit the training button 4 times when I could have just hit it once and gotten the 4 values up? I mean, I get where they were going for. They really wanted to give you that personalized, like, customization feel, like you're really there teaching your students. For replayability, like, it kills it, because I'm like, oh my god, I just want to get this over with. And you can skip it, but then you're not really optimizing your characters. And with this, I call it the Mini-Monastery, because that's really what it felt like to me. It was a lot better, but I still think it was too much. Why don't we just combine the chef with the guy that does the bonus stats? Why don't we just make that one dude that can do everything? Or combine the armorer with the smith? Be
2 people.
The same trainer that is also training you and leveling you up should be the one to give you the skills that you get access to in combat.
Yeah.
Why do we not do that? I don't know. Some decisions, I just felt like it was fluff that was unnecessary.
I think a little bit of it, it's part of like, okay, well, obviously all these people would have different jobs realistically, but also like realism. And I think also maybe there's like a little bit of bloat in like, we're getting mechanics that we don't need. I mean, fishing's gone, thank God. How close are we to a Fire Emblem game where the Monastery has a farming mechanic?
Oh, dude.
Like that you have to actually manage, like not just the gardening.
I can't wait for Animal Crossing Fire Emblem version.
I want a 200-hour Harvest Moon game within my 400-hour Fire Emblem game.
I mean, we did have the seed mechanic in
we did. You did plant to do seed in 3 houses.
Yes,
and
we did.
You were all kinds of great things. And then you could hyper optimize that to get +1 set, get a little Rocky Burdocks in there.
Really worth the time investment, Less is more in these cases.
New Game Plus rules is all I can say.
Oh yeah. I used to think that people would be hating on New Game Plus, and I'm like, I don't know why. This is great. It saves time. I get to enjoy the story again without having to deal with all the BS, which is why it works so well in Warriors 2. The first map, Maddening, the enemies are level 112.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I never messed with that. That's 100. Oh man, no.
I tried the Blue Alliance. I think I spent 15 minutes fighting one captain in a base with Dimitri, and I had to keep like hitting him and running back to heal and hitting him and running back to heal until I finally was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this. Went back, finished my New Game Plus route, came back in and completely obliterated everything, and it was a lot better. Do a quick like save and just try it on Madden. I mean, the game is way more challenging. If you're level 70, you should be able to like square off pretty fine.
Because at that point you've got the builds.
Yes, exactly. And you have the weapons too, because the weapons carry over.
This does remind me, because one of the things that you had asked me coming into this was like, what would you have changed about Three Hopes? And I was thinking of the Ashen Wolves, and this is a very minor thing that maybe just bothers me. Everybody's like got their own opinions on some of these redesigns. Permadeath for Three Hopes. Big disappointment for me, although I think at this point they're just around. the faculty members still don't have a second portrait design.
Yeah.
Very minor thing. Hugely disappointing that somehow we go through Warriors Three Hopes and an entire war arc, and like Shamir and Catherine and Sedith just look the same. It's like the exact same.
If you want to see good alt art, I guess you gotta wait for like Ninja Shamir or Manuela from Christmas from Fire Emblem Heroes, because that's the only way you can get something. I wish. Do Warriors, it's fine. But don't do a take on Three Houses. Let's go back to when like Saros was there and Nemesis and all those guys. Have Sedith be the main character, and like you can pick other people to like play with him, like say Indek or Macwill or all those guys that are like legendary people, or like even Willem, like the first Emperor, and all those people that we hear about in the lore, and just make a game about that time. Like, and that would have been so much better, in my opinion, than rehashing a story that we've already seen 3 what ifs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's actually really interesting. I mean, like, that's one of those things where, like, okay, yeah, no, this would never happen. Because, like, there's too many financial considerations, I think, that would prevent, even if IS wanted to do that, or Koei Tecmo wanted to do that. I think if we were in a neutral, make whatever you want, I think that sounds really cool. Especially because, like, the opening cutscenes of, like, Three Houses show, like, the big hordes of enemies and the Sword of the Creator going crazy, and that would have been awesome, actually.
How did you feel about Byleth versus Shez?
For me, I preferred Shez as, like, a main character. I get that, like, people are gonna be frustrated, and I think this frustration will continue through Engage, that we are just now at the point of, from New Mystery onward, we're just always gonna have a main character that is, you pick like a Pokemon. Unlike Byleth, who never really gets to speak, Shez at least has the bare minimum of a character going on, and gets like, you know, gets kind of snappy sometimes with Arvel, and also Warriors, I feel like I absorbed less. I definitely prefer Shez though. Because like it felt like a decent balance of like, if we're gonna have this type of character, don't make them Byleth where they're an empty slate, but also please God don't make them Chris.
Back onto the right track. Like I must say, out of all the avatars in the series, the best one in my opinion was Robin. Like Robin
easily
had just enough of like a personality that was his own, and Byleth is nothing. Like you could have Byleth and have Mark, and it would be the same.
Wow, Byleth really is just Mark if he also had cosmic importance for some reason.
Yep.
Mark is just everyone loves you, now go away. The Byleth is like, at least Mark gets that ending where it's like, somehow they won the war, but history knows not what they did.
Thank you guys so much for watching. It has truly been a lot of fun to create and put this content out for you all. Send feedback. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to collaborate or join a session, please reach out.
Do so in the comments or by contacting us. We can be reached at fireembros@gmail.com or on our respective Twitches in the banner link, or down below. Also, just so you know, the like subscribe button is an armored unit, so go ham and hammer it. Once again, I want to thank Professor Bopper for helping out with the video today, and next time I'll be back with Acting Hero 13 on another episode of Critical Hit Review.